Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Sost, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into a new episode of the Gig Economy Lounge. Sorry for the mini hiatus. However, business has called, which has left me little to no time to continue to do these podcasts, but I believe I'll be able to get back to doing them on a regular basis, like an every other day type basis. So I wanted to review a couple of pieces of rideshare news. Number one, and most notably that's being talked about, is the 400 employees of the marketing department for Uber being laid off on Monday. I'll explain why it's not the end of the world and it doesn't signal anything, because of a few things coming in the pipeline, which leads to the second topic, which is Uber Health has struck a deal with healthcare supplies distributor Henry Medical to streamline doctors' use of software company MedPod's Mobile Doc 2, a portable case stocked with medical devices like EKGs that enable remote consultations per Newsday. So, and then there's one other piece of news, which is actually two more pieces of news. I could throw it all into one. So this is going to be more like a news cycle. But I want to talk about the one that everybody's talking about first, which is Uber has shrunk its marketing department by 1/3. And if you ask a lot of people in the marketing industry, when you look at the size of Uber and the size of their marketing department, it just made sense to cut it in half, because their marketing department had grown so large that there were so many overlapping positions and just a very unclear succession or people to hold accountable for certain results. So anytime your organization gets too big, you got to you got to do what's best for the company, and you have to restructure. Well, they wanted to streamline marketing. So I know a lot of drivers, and there's just a lot of people in general, like, oh, this is the end of Uber. And I just say it's not even close. If you were to go onto Uber's jobs board right now, or career board, right on their website, there's literally hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of job openings that Uber is hiring for. One side note to this, and we're going to keep moving, which is in true marketing fashion, and this is why I love social media. This is why I love marketing and just like the whole digital world. There was, I don't know if it was one or a couple of people that lost their jobs, created a Google spreadsheet with all the names, phone numbers, LinkedIn accounts, and contact info for all 400 people that were laid off. And I know I was connected to probably 5 or 6 of them, at least. That was the ones that I saw on my LinkedIn send out messages or put up posts regarding being laid off. But I can just tell you, if you're a gig economy contractor and you're looking for stability in your life, or you're looking for something, let's just stick with more stable, I would leverage the shit out of LinkedIn, because these folks, man, let me tell you something. The posts that I seen from these people that were just let go by Uber, the amount of support and job offerings by big companies. I'm not even talking about, small mom and pop shops. I'm talking about new up and coming tech startups. There were people that I'm connected to from Google and Facebook that are reaching out to these folks. I mean, it's unfortunate that they lost, they were cut through a restructuring, but, due to the expansive nature of LinkedIn and social media, these folks have more access to opportunities than I think at any other time in the history of the world. So I was just glad to see that honestly, that Google Sheet went viral. I mean, there's been millions upon millions of views of it, which is awesome, because it just means that those 400 people are going to feel the support that they didn't think that they were going to have when they got the news. So I want to move into the next piece of news, if you will, which is Uber Health. It's the not so quiet nor a pet project anymore program that Uber launched probably 2 years ago now. They created a subsidiary. It was Uber Health LLC, and basically it's all about merging or helping the medical field become more streamlined and efficient, because the statistics of the amount of people that miss their doctor's appointments due to transportation is a staggering number. We're talking about millions of people a year miss their doctor's appointments every single year due to the lack of transportation. So Uber Health was launched, obviously, because they wanted to be the transportation provider for these things. Well, they developed software and by developing software, then they had to get into this whole HIPAA compliance, realm. And I don't know what kept it under wraps, but I know even right after it launched, it's like I didn't hear about Uber Health again until today. Maybe one or two pieces of news here or there, but nothing huge. So Uber Health struck a deal with one of the biggest healthcare supply distributors in the country. And basically what they're looking to do is they're looking to give patients and doctors' offices, more importantly, the ability to send out trained professionals, not doctors, but folks that are trained to be able to, put on EKG monitors or any of this other type of medical equipment, so that patients, they don't have to go to the doctor's office unless it's medically necessary. So they can do a teleconference or a tele-appointment. They can do it via video chat. And, this licensed trained technician will go out, will sit with the person, hook the person up. And if the doctor deems that it's medically necessary, then they can utilize the Uber platform again to get the patient from, their home to the doctor's office. I think that this is going to go a long way, because not everybody has to go to the doctor's office in order to be treated. So there's certain things, that can be done in the home. So if you're running a fever, how awesome would it be if they just sent out a nurse practitioner or some other type of medical assistant, and the doctor gets on the video call, that person's sitting there, the doctor's doing his thing, he's having the medical assistant do whatever he needs. And if it's deemed medically necessary, then you'll go into the doctor's office. But if not, the nurse practitioner or whomever is out there, if need be, can write a prescription, can do all these things. And Uber will shuttle the people and the equipment to and from these people's houses. Now, I know, there's going to be a whole lot of, like a whole bunch of uproar about nothing. I'm telling you, if they're going to be utilizing Uber vehicles, these mobile pods or med pods they can be carried, which means it's no bigger than a freaking suitcase. So they'll just drop it in your trunk. You'll take them, you drop them off, and then that's it. And if need be, the next time somebody come picking them up, take them back to, whatever doctor's office or medical facility they need to go back to. So I believe that this is not, that the timing of this partnership, of this deal, is no coincidence, because of the talk about how there were quote unquote potential concerns about Uber's profitability moving forward. That's why Uber cut the 400 jobs. That turned out to be false. What it's really all about was there was a whole bunch of jobs that were overlapping each other. That's the reason why 400 were cut. Everything got a little bit more streamlined. But because they're a publicly traded company, and because traders trade on news, they had to follow up that news with something positive, something that has the potential to be even bigger. Uber Health's partnership with this medical device distributor or supplies distributor. I think it's big. Honestly, everybody talks about how Uber is going down. I mean, I don't even think Uber has hit 30% of their true rider base yet. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even think they're at 30. I think they're in their 20%, the 20% area, and 15 to 20%. Once healthcare gets unlocked, and once all these companies and doctors' offices can figure out how to provide transportation to patients, it's a huge benefit to doctors' offices, because doctors don't get paid unless patients show up. So if 40% of a doctor's office's patients or booked appointments are going unfilled, then that's a lot of revenue out of the pocket of doctors' offices or medical groups. So it's within everybody's best interest that these folks make it to their doctor's appointments for health reasons, for financial reasons, for all kinds of reasons. All right, so now that we've got that big piece of news out of the way, I do want to follow up on two acquisition talks that are in the process right now. And another reason why Uber's not going anywhere. Uber is significantly interested in purchasing Postmates pre-IPO. Look out for that news. That is working through the pipeline as we speak. I don't believe Postmates actually wants to go public. I think they would just much rather build up the public perception, get a lot of hype going on, so that way they can boost the value of their company, their drivers, and their data. Obviously, Uber's interested. To me, this signals that Uber is growing and they're looking to continue to grow. So if Uber acquires Postmates, obviously this is huge for their food delivery system. I believe if Uber purchases Postmates, DoorDash either has to purchase Grubhub or they have to find somebody to acquire them elsewhere. And the one person that I thought would acquire them is actually now in talks to buy Uber Eats India, which is Amazon. That's right, folks. Actually, I literally just seen the piece of news today. Amazon is in early negotiations with Uber to purchase Uber Eats India business. So they're not buying all of Uber Eats, they're just buying India's. Well, they would like to. But a lot of people, where the article was talking about what's most likely to happen is that there's some sort of strategic partnership where Amazon can buy into Uber Eats India, but they can't acquire it. And for good reason. I know Uber Eats is experiencing massive growth right now, globally. Like they're growing 100% per year. It's ridiculous how big Uber Eats is getting. And it's just because it's not even the US market. Like I don't have the statistics in front of me, but the size and magnitude of India's food delivery business is insane. Now, granted, they have like 2 billion people there, so I get it. But still, when you think about the numbers out of India, like these are markets that aren't even really being touched yet. So when everybody talks about Uber is going down and going bankrupt, it's just honestly, it just shows a lack of insight into the global economy. And it's like, what's the total market penetration rate for food delivery, app-based food delivery in India? And if you're looking at like 10, 20%, you know how much growth is there? That's huge, especially, when you talk about China, Russia, like you're talking Europe, there's all these places that are just, they're not as advanced as the US. So yes, here in the US, we're experiencing a slowdown, but globally, Uber is seeing an uptick everywhere. Ironically enough, they're also seeing an uptick in competition, which, I always thought that Lyft was going to need to be acquired by somebody, mainly because I don't think they have what it takes to get to the finish line, or get to a true cruising altitude. And everybody's like, oh, Uber should just buy Lyft. And I'm like, no, like Lyft isn't worth anything to Uber. I mean, so there's some value there, but is it worth 16, 17, 20 billion dollars? Hell no. There are very few users, I would bet, a single digit percentage, maybe double digits, creeping into double digits, percentage of monthly active users on Lyft that aren't already on Uber. So what's from a data standpoint, which is the true value of these companies? Everybody's like, well, how's all these companies, how are these companies valued? Well, you look at how much data they're collecting, how many monthly active users, how much these monthly active users are worth. There's a whole bunch of metrics that go into it. Well, if Uber has, 70, 80, 90% of the monthly active users that Lyft already has, then from that standpoint, it's not a whole lot. You may move the needle on how much each one is worth, but in reality, it's not that attractive. So would Google buy, Lyft? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, technically, Google's invested in both Uber and Lyft, so they're winning both ways already. Who's Amazon going to buy? I don't know if they really want to get into the rideshare game. However, Uber is very attractive to Amazon from a logistics standpoint, and the amount, the coverage, and the business model, or the amount of various verticals that Uber offers is attractive to Amazon. Because let's just face it, Lyft has, they have rideshare US creeping into North. Oh, we'll say rideshare North America, and they have e-bikes and scooters. There is talks that they'll get into food delivery, but if they get into food delivery, they're really far behind. Their technology isn't as good as Uber's. I mean, Uber has spent an assload of money developing its app, and I know a lot of drivers say the app sucks. Well, that's what happens when there's 6 billion transactions going on a yearly basis on one application. You know, it's not going to lie, 6 billion and continuing to grow. They might hit 7 billion bookings next year. 7 billion at the end of this year. That would be insane. You know, Uber's looking at over 100 monthly active participants right now. It's insane. They're just growing. So I don't know who buys Lyft. Lyft, I think, is going to have to sell at a very low price, much lower than the founders want to sell. I think in order for Amazon, Google, or anybody to bite on Lyft, they're gonna be in the neighborhood of $7 to $9 billion is what they're gonna have to sell for. Mainly because Uber bought Careem for $3 billion. It was like 1.4 in cash, and then 1.7 in convertible notes. So, and when you look at Careem, which is or was, or I guess still is, because they haven't merged completely. The Careem is still going. When you look at user base and everything else, Careem is a Middle East based rideshare company and is very comparable to Lyft. So it was really interesting when Uber acquired Careem for $3 billion. But all this news is pointing to is that, like, things are just getting warmed up. Like, things are just getting excited in the gig economy. Like, if you think that the gig economy is burning out, like, this is just phase one. Like, this is just like the first burn. You know, there's going to be a second and a third and a fourth burn. I mean, these companies are going to get incredibly large, and they're going to be doing things that most people wouldn't even dream of Uber and Lyft doing. I'm primarily on the Uber bandwagon when it comes to expansion, simply because they've built out the corporate structure, the global structure, and the technological structure to handle the growth. They can go into health. They can go into bikes. They can go into freight. They can go into public transit. And no, I don't mean providing public transit transportation, but integrating public transit systems into the Uber app. This is what Uber is becoming. So everybody that talks about Uber as a dispatch app, and that they've been full of shit about being a technology app. No, you look at Uber from one side, or you look at one vertical, and you get tunnel visioned on that shit. Uber's been a technology company. They have been trying to figure out how to become, honestly, fuck being the Uber or the, fuck trying to be Amazon, right? Or fuck trying to be Amazon of transportation. I think one day it may make sense for Amazon to purchase Uber from a pure logistical standpoint. Yeah, monthly active users, cool. Driver base, definitely an added plus. But I think from a technological standpoint, I think that there's a ton of value in Uber for Amazon. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know we went over a whole lot today. Put your comments, questions, concerns down below. If you'd like, you can give a thumbs up. You can hit the subscribe button wherever the hell that thing is at. And thank you very much and have a great day.